Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Talk Back Live. Talk Back Live with your friendly hosts, the Merc and
C1 here.
Fantastic. Okay, so I'm actually broadcasting now to multiple destinations. But those destinations, I'm only doing this because of how big a topic this is. Like specifically, you should be subscribed to the Curator, Talk Back by Curator YouTube page. That is what you should be subscribed to. So if you're listening to this broadcast on the rerun, or if you're listening to this live, well, not live because nobody here yet, subscribe to that channel. So if you're on the Talk Back Facebook or you're on the Talk Back YouTube, you should be subscribed to the Talk Back by Curator page. Okay. Yes, so we've got quite a few things to discuss here. I think, so I mean, obviously yesterday was a very big day. It was a very, very big day for fandom in general, but for like Star Wars fans, long-suffering Star Wars fans, the real fans, the people who have been through pain and turmoil for the last, my God, I mean, we can even say for the last 21 years, I mean, you could say that, but let's say for certain, for the last 5 years, man, do you know how many movies they've pumped out in 5 years? That is staggering. Because Force Awakens only came out in Christmas 2015.
So what are we talking, 6?
More, I mean, like 2015. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. No, that's 5 years.
No, I'm talking about 6 films. We're talking.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, yeah. Like, what's that? Episode 1, episode 7, 8, 9, Solo, Rogue One. What's the other? What am I missing? That's 5.
So 5 in 5 years.
Listen, man, these guys they've been cranking these things out. Cranking the movies out.
So they'll do the same with the TV shows, basically.
Listen, man, the TV shows are going to be every day. Have you seen how many TV shows there are?
I saw.
I mean, that is like on a whole other level, man. But let's get the first topic of on course. So the first thing we're going to be talking about, obviously, yesterday, like I said, it was a big day. For those who do not know, I mean, this is a non-spoiler situation. I mean, it's spoilerish, but I'm not going to like spoil it if you haven't seen it. But like, listen, big moments in fandom, in the history of fandom, in the history of Star Wars fandom, I should say. And yesterday's finale of The Mandalorian season 2, and which I think is the finale of the whole of The Mandalorian. I don't know where the hell they would go from here with the character. Had a very, very great moment. So, I mean, I guess we can talk about it specifically, but Chosen1, how did you feel about that? Where were you? What were you doing? How did you absorb that information?
I mean, I saw what happened. I mean, that's how that info.
Yeah, but what? Let's talk us through it, man. Indulge us. Where were you? How were you feeling? What were you wearing? Did you have had you eaten? Were you fed? Did you have a drink? Like, what was the situation? Was it on computer, television? What was going on? iPad, phone? Give us the rundown, man.
Well, okay, I watched most of, I guess, my entertainment on my computer. I had eaten, I'd say, but it was definitely digested at that point.
What were you? What was the meal? What was the?
Oh God, I honestly don't remember, but I know I had eaten. Look, I. It's one of those things where now, as far as where I was in my life at that point, and what the Mandalorian meant to me at that point, where same with the last episode 7, I had actually forgotten it had aired because I had mentally checked out of this show, and then I remembered, oh yeah, the Mandalorian, etc. So I hadn't read any spoilers, so nothing had been ruined for me.
Right.
The episode was pretty standard up until that ending, and I just want to, before we're going to get into the meat of it, but just going forward, I feel that yes, some crucial decisions were made that decision to bring that character back, but please do not get your hopes up because we are not out of the woods yet. There needs one decision isn't going. I know it gives you hope, a new hope, but I feel that one decision isn't going to get the job done here. We need to see what's going to happen after. We need to see the subsequent moves that are made within this Star Wars universe, and not so much the Mandalorian show. I mean, going back to the question that you asked a minute ago, where do you go from here? I feel that they should, regarding this show, they should go where the show should have been, going to begin with.
In what sense? What are you talking about?
Mandalorian is a mercenary. He is a
you mean that's right,
sword for hire. So that's where I feel that they should go. So I mean, yeah, I don't know if you want to get into. I mean, look, Luke coming back is the move to make. It is a crucial chess move, but I don't know. It might be a little too late. Personally,
I mean, listen, I will say this. I think it's too late. I think that you can't save it now. It's too late. Like, it's just a great thing for me to have had as a fan, or as a Star Wars guy. Mm-hmm. It's a great thing to have had. I do not for half a second think this is saving stuff. The reason why is that even if it's had the potential to save it, the people who made the decisions that killed it in the first place are still there.
Yes.
So it's like, you could actually save this thing, and 5 years down the line, those same people are going to kill it, like till the people in charge, right, are Filoni and Favreau. They need to literally be running everything. Mm-hmm. Because without that, the potential for something is too high, so I'm not even, and also, listen, forget even that, the amount of effort it's going to take to fix things, I don't have faith in that either, because you're talking about, you have to retcon all those movies. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about all of them, top to bottom. Just be like, they never happened. None of those characters existed. First Order is never happened. All of that has to go, because now what you'll be doing with your shows is building through, New Republic, Jedi Academy, Han Solo and Princess Leia's relationship. You basically have to just build through all of that. And listen, you could do that if you're sensible, and then you actually have a party going on. Mm. But that's not going to happen, because I'm just like, of course you can now have a Han Solo show with Princess Leia, casting different actors, right? And really explore that relationship, what happened, how she became a general, and what building a new republic. That's a great show to have. But the thing is, if you do that, this Force Awakens doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you can, even online, and this is one of the things where it's not hard to predict. People are trying to figure out, just reading the comments, people are trying to link, oh, does Baby Yoda die? Does Ben Solo kill him? And people just don't, they're confused. And
because listen, they've all got to die.
Yeah.
That's the problem with all of it, with what they did with that. All these characters that people are growing to love now are growing at. Can you imagine? You see, Baby Yoda, right? Grogu lives for 1,000 years, 900 years, 700. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So Grogu should outlive Force Awakens, Last Jedi's Rise. He should have been alive through. He's just a young kid at that point still. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. In his timeline, he's just like a baby. Because that's only 30 years later. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So Grogu should have been like even still an adolescent by the events of the sequel trilogy. But so therefore, what you're saying now is that you have to kill the most beloved new character that has been created in Star Wars since the original trilogy. That's what they're going to have to do. That's madness. No, because listen, you've got a character here that can power not power, but aid your franchise for the next 30 years. And because of what you've done in those movies, you've got to kill that character. And which I do not believe. Listen, if it's about business, that's not going to happen. So you've got to retcon. It's actually more cost effective to just retcon all that stuff. Mm. Whatever money you think you made on that thing, the amount of money that you will be losing by trying to fit all these other material in. Because listen, you see all those shows that they announced?
Yep.
You realize that all of them have got to die.
Pretty much.
They've
Yes.
all got to die, because even that acolyte, there was no acolyte in any of those 3 films.
Well, that technically doesn't count, because that takes place way before the original trilogy, way before the prequel.
All right, fine.
This is High Republic, so they can do an independent story that doesn't really have any of, that's not affected by all the noise that we're experiencing now. So that's different.
Let me see. What are they saying? What's Sam Collins? Sam Collins is saying, I've been seeing some backlash of the Luke cameo from certain circles of the fandom, saying that it's just Disney jingling keys in front of us, trying to make us forget about the sequel trilogy. Yeah, man. I mean, look, I'm not falling for the okie doke. Let me invite this guy in here. I'm not falling for the okie doke. Chipster, I'm sending you the link.
Is that good backlash or bad backlash?
No, like then he said that they're just teasing us, trying to make us forget about the sequel trilogy. Chipsters, check the private chat. I sent you the link if you want to get in on this. All right, look, I agree with him, and that's the reason why I'm not, like I said, I said earlier, I'm not falling for the okie doke. I'm taking this for what it is. There is no way that this is making me forget about everything else, or making me think that all is going to be fine going forward. No. All was fine for that moment.
Mm-hmm.
That was all. And listen, for that moment, it was a glorious moment. I was just sitting there thinking that, oh my God, do you know what Star Wars could have been?
Mm.
Because I'm looking at Luke Skywalker. Like, what the? Do you know? Because this what annoys the hell out of me. When I was young, and anybody who is a true Star Wars fan knows that all you were waiting for with the sequel trilogy is to finally see Luke do his thing. Mm-hmm. Because Return of the Jedi was Return of the Jedi. He just finished his training. And him killing or closing the circle with Vader was now time for him. When he was burning Vader on the pyre.
Yeah.
Now it's time to party. So everybody was like, that's all you've been waiting for 35 years.
So you're saying that Return of the Jedi was referring to see for me the way that I interpreted that title was it wasn't a direct reference to Luke Skywalker.
No, it's not about Luke. It's not a direct reference to Luke. It's like the Jedi are coming back through him.
Correct.
So he now goes, you set up the academy, you train Jedis, you bring. So what I thought was like, the sequel trilogy is supposed to be this glorious new dawn, where you see, and then, Luke is older, but he's trained, and then you have a new threat coming. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's the whole point. I thought, and that's if you went old Luke. Like the other way is that you don't even go old Luke on the first new movie. I mean, listen, that they had to, though, because the risk was too great, right? You've made the investment. So I understand all of that. So my thing is that I do understand that, listen, you'd want to go old so that you can use
this is
Carrie Fisher, you can use all these people, Luke's and Mark Hamill, and what were you going to say? What?
No, I mean, again, this is why, it would have been nice. Again, we need to do that Star Wars show because, to be honest, they had options. They really, it's one of those things where you almost have too many options, but that's a good thing, especially creatively. An old Luke, that's what I'm saying. Episode 7, and I think you will agree with this. Bringing old Luke back, old Leia, old Han, in my view, that's the direction that I would have gone. Now, I know that, we had talked about, fantasizing and creating our own episodes 7, 8, and 9, and whether or not, these characters were young, etc. But in order to challenge myself, or even, I'd keep them old. You still could have had just as much of an impact, with these characters in their latter ages. I don't think that was the issue at all. My view.
I mean, listen, I feel like, yes, going the older routes. You know what the thing is, if I'm being real, it doesn't matter which way you go. There's a good story in either way. Like there's a good young story, there's a good old story, there's a good story. And this has proved it by watching this episode. And like they didn't even do it well, and it still had this level of impact.
Yep.
Not even done well. Like imagine if you just do something even average. Do you know that if you do something whereby it is objectively a decent story and film, you'll blow the roof off.
Mm-hmm.
As in, you know, if somebody is not even a Star Wars fan, not a whatever, and you watch it and you're like, oh, this is a good movie. If you produced that, you would blow the roof off. You blow the roof off. So for me, I think that the problem is when you're relying so heavily on nostalgia, you're relying so heavily on work that was done 30, 40 years ago to push your products. That's when you end up in this situation where you're not even focused on just making a good film, just making a film that works, you know? So with this now, I mean, I think like, I'm not like I said, it's just, I'm not looking at it as in this is the new dawn. Like and listen, I think that a lot of Star Wars fans know that. I think that, you know, where a lot of people are not foolish enough to think this means anything.
Mm-hmm.
You literally need a total, like a change of leadership for you to feel that way. Like, I feel like you need to have an announcement where they say, oh, Jon Favreau is running it now. After the success of Mandalorian, he's now the guy doing Star Wars. For me personally to feel there's any hope. And even then, I wouldn't be like, it's a guarantee, but I'll be like, okay, look, you know what? There's possibilities here, you know? Because for better or worse, Mandalorian this season and the last season has given more moments than any other Star Wars product to date since the prequels. Because for whatever you say about George Lucas, right? Every one of those episodes had moments in them.
Yes, true.
They had all of them, like all of them had moments. Even Attack of the Clones, which I thought was the weakest one, it had the Jango Fett v Obi-Wan fight, you know, which is all that I can actually really call from that movie, you know, to be if I'm not lying to you. Because you know, that was the one that I was like, yo, like, because listen, Phantom Menace has Darth Maul.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you got to say. It has Darth Maul in it. At time, Revenge of the Sith, as I've said before, was an overall decent film. It was a decent movie. It's nothing like, it was decent. Like, and it sort of inherently was always going to be, because all that stuff had to happen in it. Like, you know, he had to turn to Darth Vader. He had to fight Obi-Wan. He had to be turned to the dark side. You know, all of that sort of things. You know, Amidala had to die. There were just so many things that were going to have to happen in that sort of helped make it okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Revenge of the Sith, of those three, was the one that was like, oh, you know, even when I see it now, I'm like, oh, this is not that bad. You know, it's not that bad. In context, anyway. But man, I mean. Anyway, look, let's go on to what's on the screen, though. The Book of Boba Fett was essentially announced at the end, you know, in the tail. Funny enough, when I did my reaction video, I didn't realize there was any footage at the end. So it was after I'd stopped recording that I saw Book of Boba Fett's thing. What I like, though, is that it feels, the tone of it feels Boba Fettish. Even the clip, I was like, okay, you know, this like, it has a very, very Boba Fett feel, like much more raw, much more aggressive. They really nailed that, man. I've got to honestly say, like, the feeling you had of Boba Fett in the original trilogy, they really nailed it, man.
They did. You can tell with not so much with the end credit scene, because I actually didn't like that scene, but when Mando and he walk into that cantina when they meet up with Bo-Katan and her
son. And the woman managed to put him in a headlock. And
let's not relive.
You saw how they had to do it.
And
they had to do it.
Please, let's not go there, okay? Because then we're gonna go off on
unbelievable
a tangent, and I'll say some things that I may regret. But you know, when they both walk into that cantina, and you see Boba Fett's mannerisms, and it's one of those things where even though he has the helmet on, you can tell this guy's on a different level than
the guy's on a different level.
He's on a different level, and going back to, and that was all throughout his entire time on the show, and even they tried to match his voice to Empire Strikes Back and
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jedi, so they did very good there. Now, regarding the final scene, I'm a bit worried because it's one of those things when I was watching it. You've got the guy that falls down the stairs, and then the woman with, his partner woman walks in there, and I'm just taking. I literally, before things are happening, I'm basically I was actually verbalizing what's going to happen in each shot, right? And
Okay.
as it happens, and as I say it, a second later, it happens. And basically what I'm trying to say is it's pretentious, it's predictable. Yes. And save the woman slave who's enslaved by, her male counterpart. It's like, it's so predictable and it's so prosaic. And those are the things that just completely turn me off. And it's like, okay, then he sits on the Jabba throne. And then the woman sits next to him and takes a swig of Jabba juice or Jamba juice, whatever they call it. And it's just I don't know. I'm not,
yeah, but what didn't you like about all that?
I cannot piece together why he would want that as a throne.
Why?
Don't.
At first, that was my first instinct, was like, why would Boba Fett want to own anything like that, like to be in control? But then I thought back and I was like, you know what? Hold on. This guy is a bounty hunter, so he's taken over that place and all the value that it brings.
So he's the boss, basically.
I'm the boss now.
Got you. Okay, fine.
No, but listen, that is the Merc talking. You know how these people behave. So that's just me saying that. No, I'm going by Boba Fett's personality, and I'm saying that, okay, his personality, that is why he would want that. Like, it's like he's not going to keep it. He's going to set up like, basically my view is that is just collateral. It's like, take over this whole thing. I know Jabba the Hutt is dead now. So I'm not letting this guy. I'm going to take over this stuff, kill these people, take over all the diamonds or whatever riches that are over there.
Yeah.
Really just like drive it into the ground and move on. I'm not going to be like a king where I'm going to be. But this is where I say that and it's just the Merc talking. My view is that, you know what, somebody like him, if you want to have a show and not just do what Mandalorian did, but just have something interesting, why doesn't Boba Fett try and set up a gang?
You know what I think? Because going off of what came before, the Jabba obviously was not the only Hutt.
No.
The Hutts are almost like mafia people. So there's a Hutt family. So it's one of those things where it can work. It can work. We'll see.
No, I mean, no. For me, that was where I went afterwards, because my initial thought was what you said. I was like, wait a minute, why would Boba Fett want to sit on a throne? And like, well, he's all over the space and everything. And I was like, wait, hang on a sec. Based on what's happened in the Empire and based on what is going on, this guy might want some collateral, Come on, let me own my own little piece. Everybody's like, it's the Wild West now, right? Yeah. So everybody just like taking whatever they can. So he knew Jabba the Hutt is dead, and this clown is now the guy running. Like, no, you're not going to run it. I'm going to take over everything. And then he's already recruited Fennec Shand, right? He might just start recruiting people and run his own gang of. And you know what? That's a show already.
Yeah, and the Hutts may try to challenge
him. Yeah. That's a show, and the thing is that that's a good show because that is very different. That's like underworld,
Yeah.
These are gangsters and criminals and all that. That's a whole other thing.
Yep.
So, but listen, and I know they may not even do that.
No, well, they might do it now, but yeah, I hear you.
Listen, I give guys diamonds, but But look, I think that is too strong an idea for them to do. It's too good an idea. I really think that they wouldn't do it. Because when we say, listen, I didn't think that initially, but just in talking to you, I just thought of that now. But I'm thinking to myself, Game God Returns. Did you guys hear about upcoming Jabba the Hutt movie? Are you serious? It's called Young Jabba the Early. Oh, he's joking. God. What is who? Anyway, but you know what though? Even though that's just a joke, let's think this through. What we have is potentially a first Star Wars crime saga. Right?
Yeah.
Essentially the first Star Wars crime saga. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'd 100% be in. 100%.
You know, that is interesting. I mean, because we have never seen that before.
Yep.
You know, we all we've ever seen is everything from the good guy side.
Yes.
I'm not even good guy side. Even when we see this, we always see the we see the Sith side, you know, Vader, but we've never seen just the low level crime criminals. We just see people interacting with them. Luke, Han Solo, Mandalorian, Leia, all these other people.
Right.
So I think now it'll be interesting. It's like when you see this, because I think this would be a good connecting thing to Lando Calrissian. Whatever they do with that show, I think it would be a good connector, because that's the world he sort of operates in, or the world he was supposed to be operating in.
Okay.
Yeah, you see, that's what I'm saying. Sam Collins is right. I agree. Like, listen, you have more faith than I do. You know, I think that it's a great idea, but they won't go. They won't do it. It's too good an idea. You see what I'm saying? Like, basically, what we're talking about. Oh, yes. What we're talking about is like Godfather. We're talking about Godfather in Star Wars. Basically, because just gets like crime families. Like, if I was doing it, I'd be like, no, crime families, man. And Boba Fett now wants his own corner.
I mean, I think that would be interesting. As the sort, almost like it's one of those things where it's like, I can see a scenario within the story where it's like, the Hutts, instead of trying to drive him out, they almost give him the unofficial nod to, you know, show me what you can do in 6 months, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you know, when he gets in there, there's going to be elements that want to get him up out of there immediately, you know.
Right. No, it's just no. Yeah, 100%. I just feel that, you know, I think the one of the things, you need to create a real threat, right? Because you know, you walk down those steps, you killed the guys, you took over in less than 90 seconds. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know,
you know, you got to create a real threat, and the Hutts, to me, they need to pretty much be like, you know, the Kingpin to his Spider-Man, you know. So it's one of those things where it's like, again, if you set it up right, and you not just create the typical villainous mob family group that, you know, he's going up against, but make it sort of sophisticated in a way where he's trying to prove his worth to this family so that he doesn't have to go to war with them. They'll back him.
Right.
That would be a very interesting thing. And that way you can create, what shall we say, smaller threats that he has to deal with, maybe other rival people who are trying to be at the top of that specific mountain that he's on for that specific.
Right.
That would be very interesting. And you talk about, you know, the amount of coin he brings in with like the illegal drugs, or I think they call them death sticks, right? You got your you know, your dope captains and your people who handle, you know, gambling and all that stuff. So basically, you know, it's a great way to introduce new characters and create, you know, storylines and threads that are not only believable, but they, you know, they actually offer something new to the viewer, a different side of Star Wars that you never got in the films, because, you know, you were focused on Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and Leia. You know, it'll give you that sort of behind the scenes, how the world really works past those primary characters.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, I can agree with that. So guys, remember that you should like and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to this, if you're on the channel, like and subscribe. Yeah, look, I would say that it's tough to always speculate about these things, because we know very well that things will not happen the way that we want them to happen.
No.
You know, so it's always a tough thing to speculate, because I'm looking at it, I'm thinking that, you know, what are the odds that these guys are actually going to go forward and make something like this that we're talking about? It's not high. based on the way everything else has panned out. Because even in this last episode of Mandalorian, you saw how that there was still that same format where they went to Bo-Katan and then she said, if you do X, then we will do Y.
Yep.
And I was like, how are you going to do this in the very last episode? Like, I mean, come on. I was so annoyed, honestly. Like, the episode wasn't going well till that thing happened for me. You know? It wasn't very good for me.
When you say when that thing happened, do you mean Luke?
Yes.
Oh, of course. No, I mean, I thought you were talking about until the Bo-Katan thing happened. No, of course. The episode wasn't good at all. Not at all. No, I mean, look, it's just, again, I know, I don't know. I know this isn't a Mandalorian finale talk, but it's just, I feel that there's a serious issue that, I mean, you've got the two groups, you know, the four ladies went in there like Ninja Turtles, you know, and you know, at one point it hit me, you know, wait a minute, this group that's cutting down all of these men are ladies, you know, and it's like, oh, okay, this is how, and it's one of the things where it's like, I remembered something you said weeks ago, where it's like, if you bring Luke back and then you do this sort of transition, you're giving it back to the, you know, the white male, you know, the patriarchy, and you can't do that. But it's like one of the things where it's like, not to say that they did do that, but they went in that direction. But the only way that they could do that is they really had to show the almost the contrast to that and have those ladies have their moment. And that's where, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go on, finish. Yeah.
I just feel that, you know, we have to get away from that. You know, I just feel that there's there's a way where everyone can have their moment to shine, men, women, etc. And I feel that, you know, I don't know. I just.
Yeah, but you know what? Look, like I think that is what's happened, and I think, you know, it's obviously. Listen, I've been honest about this, you know, from the beginning, that Star Wars was always like a white male thing, you know, that was really what it was. And those characters is who the stories revolved around. That didn't stop me from being, you know, from Luke Skywalker being my guy. That didn't stop me from liking Boba Fett. That didn't stop me from liking Han Solo, because you and I know that Boba Fett was white up until 1999, you know, when obviously things have changed and then he became like the clone that he was, you know.
Yeah.
But you know for a fact that if Boba Fett removed his helmet back in the 70s or in the early 80s, it would have been a white guy.
Of course.
You know, so so I'm just like, it just would never have happened. So the way I view it is like, look, you know, when you see the impact that Luke has had just by making a 5-minute appearance, you just shudder to think at the amount of damage Star Wars could have done had they just done things the way it was like the way it was built. Star Wars was built on Luke and Han Solo and Vader and Anakin and all this. That's what it's really built on, you know.
Yep.
So it's like, you're not going to come in and just try and turn all of that stuff on his head and think you're going to survive. Like, even when you're watching this thing, it's like, I know you don't want to talk about it, but just like, it's now becoming too transparent. The need to denigrate every male character, to bring them down to earth. And it always has to be done by a female character. And that doesn't, it starts looking trite.
Yes.
You see, the thing is, if you did it once, you wouldn't really, you'd be like, okay, that's interesting, whatever. You do it in every movie, every single time, with every main male character. It's now become do you know what now it's become? You're just waiting for, okay, who's the girl that's going to mess him up?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, absolutely.
That's where we are now.
Yeah.
Like, once Boba Fett came in, I was literally, from that episode he made an appearance, I was just waiting that which female character is going to kick him up, kick his butt.
Yeah. Yep.
That's all you're waiting for, because they're like, they will find someone that is going to beat this guy.
Yeah.
And that is very bad, because then it's like your audience aren't being taken on a ride. They're just like waiting for you to tick off your check boxes. That's a problem. And I'm thinking that there is absolutely no reason for a character like Boba Fett to not be able to get through 3 episodes without getting beaten by a female character. There is no reason for that. Because you know for a fact that the Book of Boba Fett is going to have that happen to him. Hands down, probably Fennec Shad. Because that, for me, it's like, that's going to be some kind of love story that's going to develop between those characters. And then she's going to be tough. Then there's going to be like blah, blah. And you're going to go down that. And listen, that to me is actually a very good path to go down. If it is a romance, that's a good path to go down. But the thing is that you don't want a situation whereby you dilute what Boba Fett is. Because they've already diluted him. They've already said that, listen, I don't know what would have happened in that fight between him and that woman.
Yep.
Once you've done that, you've already messed up your character. Because now it's like, he's never going to meet her again. So all you've now done is that in the back of everybody's minds that you're going for is like, yeah, but there was that lady who, she was nobody. She wasn't even the boss. Like if Bo-Katan did that, I can handle that way better. Because she's super elite. Like you've built her up to be super elite. And her performance is very good. I accept it more from her because the performance is more believable, right? Like I just feel like, okay, this person sounds like somebody who has experience. Carries herself like somebody who has experience. So if she fought Boba Fett and things got a bit crazy, I'd say this, you know what? I'll be like, well, you know what, man? This lady is trying to be the king of Mandalorians or the queen of Mandalorians, you know? And you've said, so what I'm saying is that my issue is not even about the femaleness of it. Just try and not make me watch the scene and just be like taken out of the moment.
No, I mean, it's not, again, it's not about a woman per se. It's how this person literally just got there. She literally just got to Star Wars and she's challenging one of the most pivotal villains within that series. That's a problem.
Mandalorian, Strong Dive of Divine King says Mandalorian started as a one-shot movie at first, but because Solo bombed, they made it a series and stretched out the plot. Now in season 2, they don't know what to do, so they're introducing the cartoon. Look, we all know it was supposed to be a Boba Fett movie, was supposed to come out. We know that. And things changed. I was surprised when I've heard it was called The Mandalorian and it wasn't Boba Fett, because that's what we all thought was going to happen. But regardless, I think they pulled it off. You know, in the end, they pulled it off. The show was good. You know, I don't think anybody's going to look at the show and think it wasn't what it should have been. By the way, guys, if you're listening to this on Talkback page, you should be listening to this on the Curator Talkback for Curator page. So switch over and subscribe to that channel. So listen, man, I mean, look, I felt like those sorts of things is why I'm worried. You see what I'm saying? It's like, if you're still doing that at the end of season 2 and you're still pandering in that way, nothing's really changed. No. Because something like that, I believe that there has to be a mandate. Somebody has to be telling people to do this.
Yes, of course. Of course.
Because how come it keeps happening? Like, there's no way that every different writer on every different film somehow stumbles on doing the exact same thing over. Somebody must be sending directives. At some point in this film, this man must be beaten by a woman, or be bested, or be challenged, or be stalemated. Something has to happen whereby it's like, ooh, you know, he's not like, you've got to do that somewhere.
Yep.
That has to be coming from somewhere, because I'm watching, I'm like, wait a minute, why? This is because like I said, Bo-Katan character, even though, like, who was the one that went into that monster and took it wasn't her, it was that same black girl, right?
Yeah, WWE girl. And it's not just happening here, you know, it's you know, it's happening all over with different franchises. You know, there's a moment where who slaps Poe Dameron? That was it, Leia? Or,
oh God, no! It was that pink-haired woman,
yeah,
Laura.
It's like it's one of those things where it's like
slaps him.
All of these franchises, we have to make sure that the man isn't too manly and put him in check. You know, go watch the Cobra Kai season 3 trailer.
Listen, I haven't even watched any of Cobra Kai.
Go. There's a moment, a slapping moment, just like that. So, a young woman just got on the scene and slapped the main villain guy from Cobra Kai. And he just sat there and took it.
Yeah, man. I mean,
what is going on? I don't.
I mean, like, no, it is bananas. No, listen, I cannot listen. This is the thing. I can accept a slap because that does happen in real life. Now, in real life, there's only particular scenarios where the woman is brave enough to do that to a guy. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's only so many, like if it's the person's mother or if it's somebody on authority, and then you have a reaction from the guy, depending on the way what kind of character that person has. The problem that you have here is that you can't have a situation where you have a character like Poe, who is just going to get slaps like that. How do you know how, listen, let's just take a pause now, pause. How disrespectful is that? In an official capacity, this is an official pilot, and you are like the officer in charge, and you slapped him.
Mm.
We're not looking at it the right way. We're just saying, oh, he slapped him. Just take a step back and say, do you know how unprofessional that is? Character-wise, that is incredibly unprofessional as a commanding officer to slap a guy because he doesn't agree with you. Now, the question is this. If that was a male of commanding officer and a male, would he slap the guy? You're not going to slap him. I just don't listen, I just don't get it, because I feel like you could still get all the things you want without doing this.
Not only could you get the things you want, it would have even more of a lasting impact. I mean, if you do it properly. I mean, again, no one is taking you seriously. There's no way for 1 second do I believe that Mandalorian, not so Mandalorian woman can take Boba Fett in any way.
In any, and also
seriously,
they had to mess it up, because you saw how at the beginning of the fight, I was talking to Half Hope, where he just tossed her. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, are they going to handle this the right way?
No.
Like, I was like, do you know what the right way is to handle it? Is that Mandalorian step in to stop Boba Fett destroying her.
Yes, but
that's how you do it. Like, because then it's like Boba Fett has no qualms about messing a woman up. And then Mandalorian says, you have to go through me if you're going to do that. That's how you handle that situation. Because in that situation, it's like, there is no way in hell that a character you've built up like Boba Fett has any trouble with somebody like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because she's not even as good as Bo-Katan. And the way that Boba Fett was built up in the entire lore of Star Wars is that this is literally the most amazing bounty hunter of all time.
Yes.
He's genetically engineered, and he's prime. He was a prime one because he's the one that Django took as his child.
Well, yeah, the way that I got it was, I mean, yes, you're genetically engineered, but to me, it was more important that the proper person trained you.
That's the point I'm making. Like, not only were you genetically engineered, he then picked you.
Yes.
And you became his child. So it's like, you're like super elite.
Yes.
Super elite. Because things like Jango Fett, and this is the crazy thing about Jango Fett and how the whole thing has been sort of messed up a little bit. You saw how Mandalorian was able to fight Ahsoka.
Yep.
The way that George Lucas did it, and I think was so great about Jedi, is that you saw that Jango could barely last against Obi-Wan. Barely. Like, this guy was on the back foot for the entire fight, and he was like, his entire fight was, I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not facing off against a Jedi. Mm-hmm. That's not going to happen. And as soon as he tried to face off against a Jedi in the arena, he got his head chopped off.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That shows you that, like, and listen, as soon as Boba Fett tried to get involved with Luke, the guy finished him off, like, just chopped his gun off. Like, it was like, that's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
That's how this is done. Because as you said, I think you said before, there's levels to this.
There should be.
Mandalorians are not on the same. So when you've now created this thing that Mandalorians had a war with Jedis, I was like, how the hell did that go down? You for real? Mm-hmm. Jedis were actually warring with you?
I mean, I agree with everything that you say, but it's one of those things where the Mandalorian War is something that they first alluded to in the Knights of the Old Republic games. And it's one of those things where, you hear a story point and in your mind, you either buy it or you don't, right? The way that they explained it, I bought into it. Of course, they lost, but they did not let's just say it was not a flawless victory for Jedi. That's what I'm saying. The
Yeah,
Mandalorian.
but what I'm talking is about just the hand. Like,
No,
how is this
of
thing
course.
fought?
No, well, well, I wasn't there, but
But listen, I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that what they had to create, which I'm fine with. Let me get this clear. I'm fine with it. But what they had to create is this adamantium-like Beskar thing that can actually block lightsaber swipes, which is fine. Listen, I'm not against that idea, because I actually think that Jedi there has to be something that you can use to fight these guys. Otherwise, what's the point?
Right.
What? Anyway, go on.
I mean, again, if we're talking Mandalorian, where I'm not talking, for me, it's not, that sort of classic war where you're in open field and it's hand-to-hand combat. That's not what I got from the Mandalorian war. Definitely, a good chunk of it, in my view, should be war from a distance. Laser shots, sniper rifles, missiles, all of the hand-to-hand combat in open field, gladiator type thing, Braveheart. No, that's not what I'm talking about here. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's a tricky one.
Hey, Andre Roberts, how are you doing? Welcome to the conversation. Strong Divine King, welcome to Strong Divine King. Have you been here before? Are you new to Talkback? Introduce yourself. We like to have an intro for new people who comment in the chat. Go on.
Is it wrong that I wanted Gus Fring to kill that WWE woman?
No, it's not. I wanted her dead.
I was like, please let someone here go.
Who killed them? Moff Gideon again?
No, nobody killed him. He's still out there.
So he's just still on the floor in that room.
Yeah.
Do you know how crazy this is that I actually forgot about him, because he was on the floor, and then I was like, I just got so focused on Luke that I completely. So at the end, like yesterday, I was thinking that, wait a minute, who killed Moff Gideon? Because in my head, I was like, I'm sure he died, but like, who killed him? I'm like, oh, nobody killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, that character was just pandering. It was a pandering character. There was no reason for that character. And also, what happened to the male Mandalorian? What happened to him?
Yeah, he wasn't needed. He wasn't needed. We don't.
So, because in the bar, he just wasn't there.
No, we don't need him anymore. We have the two women. Well, what do we need a man for?
How weird is that? That is so strange. I mean, that is actually very, very strange. Like, because you know what? It's so strange because it's so childish. You brought a male Mandalorian who, to be honest, did absolutely nothing.
Well, technically, they're not Mandalorians, right? None of them.
Yeah, I know. But listen, you have a team of 3 where one of them is a nobody. He doesn't do anything. Mm-hmm. And then by the next episode that these guys appear in, he's not even there. What happened to him? Man, you know what, man? These guys are having a laugh, man. They're having a laugh. This is the next topic I won't even talk about today. What do you think?
A series would be better. You have more time to develop things. A movie, I think there's only a finite amount of things you can do, and then let's just say you do go the movie route. I mean, when, at what point, what are you including, what are you excluding? I just no to a movie. No, I would say no. I don't know. That's just my view, though. I don't know.
I mean, I think. Oh yeah. Anyway, welcome, Strong Divine King. Welcome. You've been watching for a while, so I mean, I don't know how far back you go and talk back, but welcome to the community. I think a movie would be appropriate because I think it's more respectful to Luke. Like, I wouldn't make a series with Luke Skywalker.
Well, not so much as, but again, a series about the Jedi Academy, I guess. Not just him, but
right. But yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that I would. You know what? That wouldn't be a bad idea, I guess, a Jedi Academy series. But I was thinking more like, if you're even going to do the Jedi Academy, I would do the Jedi Academy in a film. I just don't know that I would do it.
The sole focus.
Yeah, because I just think that once you do a series, over time, it's just disintegrates, and
I agree.
It would, and I think for a character like Luke Skywalker is too important. No, Tale 7. I disagree. It says the technology isn't there unless they're making it a near photorealistic animated film. I don't agree. What you need to do, Tale Stephen, is that go and look for the what do they call it? The deep fake of The Irishman. So go on YouTube now and look at the deep fake for The Irishman. Okay? If you look at the deep fake for The Irishman, what you will find is some of the best photorealistic facial swapping technology that I've ever seen. There is a lot of deepfake data for
the data is there, and it's there. Funny because someone pointed this out to me. The reason, it's one of those things where it's like, it's clear that's what you need to use, but there are reasons why they're not using that, and it's one of those things where it's like,
the reasons they don't use it is to do with deals, though.
Yeah, it's deals. It's money.
It's business.
It's money.
It's business, because it costs a lot more money to do it the way they're doing it, and they can pay people and they can hire companies. Deepfake, you can actually get two guys. You know that deepfake is just the program. So it's like, once you have the data, you don't actually need a team. You just get the data and it does it for you. The program just does it for you. Yeah, but let me tell you this. There are hours of footage with Mark Hamill, including in the archives, all his audition tapes from the Star Wars movies, all the stuff he was doing on TV in the 70s, his TV shows. They have tons of material that they could go to and use. Mark Hamill has tons of, even if you just use all his footage in Star Wars, so you use everything he did in Star Wars, all the outtakes, all the audition tapes, go and look at what they did with them when they did the deep fake for, what do they call it? Tom Cruise. You don't even need that many hours. You don't need that many hours. I mean, Mark Hamill has enough material from the 70s, which is the era you want, because that's the funny thing. The era he was most active in on screen as an actor is the 80s and early 80s and 70s, right? And that's what you need, and there is tons of footage. So I would say, listen, as Chosen1 said, the reason here is business, because to be honest, deep fake is the way you go. If they use a deep fake for this thing we just saw, it would be infinitely better than what it was.
Yep.
But the reason is just money, because deep fake would cost you nothing. Peanuts. Once you have the program, it's just one guy. You just plug all the material in, and plug all the stuff in, and then you do it and you tweak it. But the difference between deepfake and this is literally tens of millions of dollars. Tens of millions, So yeah, I think a Mark Hamill-led film using deepfake technology is very affordable. It's actually very affordable because of how deepfake works. It's cheap. So you could easily do it. And do you know what the key is? Like, just get very careful about what you make him do. You see what I'm saying? Like, that you're just going to put him in every single scene and he's just running all over the place. And in fact, those sort of scenes are actually easier to deepfake when you're not frontal talking. Because people use doubles all the time. Listen, as we're even saying it now, this is a no-brainer. Luke Skywalker movies is easy to do. The question is that do they want to do that? Because that actually, I think, really does affect the viability of the entire slate of movies that they've already made. But yeah, man, I mean, look, that's what I'm saying. Remember, guys, to keep that, to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Remember to like and subscribe, share as well, and let others know about the existence of Talkback, because we're back in the game. I don't know, man. I mean, like I said, look, this is just me talking, but I don't really want a Luke Skywalker movie.
I don't either. And
I don't. I'm just talking. I would actually rather that everything just let it. It's all like it was messed up.
Yep.
And in order to fix it, I don't want them to sacrifice Luke to try and fix this whole thing. No. I think it's better that they just leave it. Obviously, all these shows are going to come out, but I think, it's difficult to get excited when you know where everything's headed. You know, but in saying that, what do you think is the future of Star Wars?
Well, I think the future of Star Wars is sort of the standalone television series now. I mean, that's going to be the future for the immediate future, until someone sort of gets a good grasp on what they want to do film-wise, because I'm not sure after Rise of Skywalker it would be so wise for them to jump into a new trilogy of films. So I think they have to reset the market and prep the movie-going audience with television series and sort of rebuild that consumer trust, if that makes sense. And I think this is the perfect time to do it because people are stuck at home. So spend the next 2, 3, 4 years maybe rebuilding your brand. But I'm going to be honest, I don't know if that's possible. I don't know.
Yeah, Game God. I didn't know, because look, guys come on the channel and just start talking some crazy talk. So I didn't know whether you were trying to take us in that direction, but we're trying to stay focused on topic here. But yeah, no love lost, no problem. Yeah, guys, also new channel. I'm going to post this in here. So guys, you should check this channel out, this podcast as well. If you guys want to have a new flavor of your film and TV talk, Coco and Bamboo, check it out. I'll put the link in there. You know what though? I think that, I mean, yes, you're right 100%. It is the TV shows. That is the future. But I do feel like I don't know how long this is all going to last, you know.
Well, here's one thing important to note. At every point in the Star Wars lifetime, it is resurrectable, if that's even a word. You can fix it, even now. The issue is
I don't believe that, but carry on. I don't believe that.
Believe it can be fixed?
I don't. No, I don't. I think that it's dead now. It's dead because
it's dead. But the question is, do you believe it can be fixed?
No.
Okay, well, that's where you and I disagree. I think it absolutely can be fixed with on point, precise, strategical decisions. But if what you mean is the chances of those decisions actually happening is zero, then
I'm not even talking about that. I'm saying that even if you had those decisions, like you literally have to start from the beginning again.
I bet you the rest of that's that's the
like you have to completely wipe. But the problem is that Carrie Fisher has already passed away. You know that Harrison Ford will never agree to come back to do anything to cap off his character properly. You know, the only person who's up for it is Mark Hamill, David. Do you know what is so crazy? Force Awakens was lucky enough to have everybody alive. And you squandered that. And now in the space of 5 years, they're almost 70% of those people have died in real life. Or are way beyond, like it's just so annoying, man. It's so frustrating, you know. So I mean, for me, it's like I don't think it's possible. You know, like it's just like, how do you do, like, do you know what? Listen, the only way is that you have somebody who is just an extreme talent, who is going to cast new people, but continue the story from where we left off in Jedi. Or where we've left off now in Mandalorian. Because I think what they did with Mandalorian, the 2 seasons, is they didn't mess up the original trilogy much at all. And what they've added to it is actually good quality. That's the benefits of the show. So it's like you can actually continue from here, because I'm like, the idea that this Grogu Baby Yoda was a great idea, and the fact that you're that Luke now has taken him to train, that's a great turn, because Yoda trained him. So it's like, man, you know, this is like a really and listen, for all we know, there is a Luke Skywalker thing coming. Even if it's not based on him, there is something coming, for all we know. You know? Yeah, man. Look, Dave Filoni. Yeah, look, we all know that. Star Wars people know Dave Filoni should be. I mean, I think Jon Favreau should be actually. That's who it should be. You know, I mean, obviously he's Dave Filoni's. They're partners. They've got a partnership on this, but you know, I think we all feel like, look, it's obvious. Look at what they just did with this show. And as Chosen One has said, like, it's not even like it's perfect. You know, it's not like this had hit like it's even 80% or 70% of what it should have been or could have been. But it's so much further. Like it is the categorically the best Star Wars thing that has come out since Return of the Jedi. I mean, that's actually a tough one because you see, this is the funny thing, right? It is and it isn't. The beauty of the prequels is that it was all new. It was new. When I went into Phantom Menace, I'd never seen that stuff before. And that Phantom Menace thing generated a whole new revenue stream for the franchise. Attack of the Clones brought in all this other stuff. Return of the Sith, like those prequels created an entire new aspect of Star Wars. So for better or worse, you have to be, you know, when I think about it, I'm like, well, yes, okay, it's the best when you talk about on a technical level, the filmmaking, writing, acting, okay, yes, fine. But those prequels, man, you know, I mean, for, you know, you know, guys are going to hate, but, you know, I mean, you know, you got to be real. Like, you know, this thing gave tons, huge, 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 huge amounts to the Star Wars lore. And even though the execution was what it was, Chosen, can you say that anything that happened in the prequels was a bad idea? Not really. Just on a factual level.
Okay.
I'm talking about bad, where it's like, oh, you like to the levels we got in the sequels. No. You might feel that you would do something different, but there was nothing that he did that you'd be like, oh my God, what a stupid idea. How bad an idea. What kind of idea? No. There was no such thing. No such thing. You know? And I think that that comes from the fact that it's, how do I put it? It's from his soul. Tail Stevens, what do you mean 100% talkback? What are you referring to with 100% talkback? Or you're talking about what I said about George Lucas? Look, man, I've calmed down after yesterday. I was so excited. You know, yesterday, you know, you're still in the adrenaline, the excitement and everything. I think, you know, I've sort of now, you know, come back down to earth. Like, you know that during my video, my reaction video, I actually remembered the sequels. It just the wave just came over me. I was like, oh my God. Because, you know, you're excited. And then I was remember that, oh, wait, you know what? I remember what the actual materials we're dealing with are. You know, I forgot. Yeah, yes, I agree. Yeah, Lucasfilm. Yeah, look. It's not going to happen. So there's no point in even talking about that. You know, it's not going to happen. You know, it's not going to happen. Andre Roberts, I agree. I enjoy the prequels more than the sequels. That's not even, is that even a debate with anybody? I'm talking about real Star Wars people. Like, is that a debate or like, is there a conversation between that or am I crazy to say there isn't? Because in my head, that's like a foregone conclusion that the prequels are better. You know? I mean, I don't know. Like, what do you think, Chosen?
Do I think that the prequels are better than the sequels?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to say that. Do you think that there's anybody out there who thinks otherwise?
Of course. You can find people who have opinions on anything. I mean, yes, of course.
No, I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like in numbers.
Well, yeah. Yes. There are a number of people who love the new, the latest movie.
Yeah, but real guys, man. Real dudes. You know, not all these fake fans, like proper fans, proper Star Wars guys, man.
I don't know.
Exactly, you know, because I'm thinking not. I'm thinking there's no real guys out there, you know, real fans of Star Wars that are saying that the sequels are better than the prequels. And that is with Phantom Menace, which, I mean, or rather with Attack of the Clones. Phantom. Oh, I mean, look, there were some things in those films that are hard to get over, but still, you got some diamonds in there. Anyway, let's bring this to a close. So, anything else going on out there that we should touch on before we get the hell out of here? Anything else?
I don't have anything, I don't think.
You know? All right, people, you know, thank you for hanging out with us on this wonderful, wonderful afternoon. I just found out that you could do I didn't know you could do full screen on this thing. Wow, I didn't know you could do that. Thank you for joining in, guys, for this weekend jamboree. Really enjoyed this conversation, you know, talking about the future. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and also to follow us on Instagram at My Curator. But like and subscribe to the channel, because that way you will be alerted. I think you've got to press the bell icon to be alerted of future transmissions. So until the next time, this is your friendly guy, aka the Merc and
Chosen1,
signing out for the day.